Good evening and welcome to another edition of Business and Financial Raw Talk, a no-holds-barred forum for leaders and innovators. I am LaWanna Bradford, and I'm so excited because today we have two very special guests. They are the mother-daughter dynamic duo, Rochelle and Alisha Schwartz, and we are going to be talking today about business relationships, the joys and challenge. One of the things that I love about these two is somehow through their lives and lived experiences, they found a way to come together in partnership to provide messages of hope. But it's not just messages, it's a training platform so that you can live and expand and build your best life when it comes to first identifying your own blind spots that may be hindering you from building the best healthy relationships possible. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into all of those topics, but right now I want to bring them on. How's it going, you two?
Hi, we're great. Thank you for having us.
So exciting.
Thank you so much for saying yes and taking time out of your busy schedules. I know one of the things that you have a tagline. I want to read this. You said, thriving together in relationships, crossing the river of change. Again, thriving together in relationships, crossing the rivers of change. Can we talk a little bit about what does that mean when we're crossing the rivers of change, and how do we thrive while we're crossing? Or is that even possible? Do we have to first cross and then we thrive?
Depends on the day.
That's good. You know, I
first.
think the river of change, first of all, let me preface this. Most people don't like change. They feel very uncomfortable in that. But when that occurs, and you feel that there is a fear in change, go do it. Just go do it, because that's where your growth comes from, instead of sitting in the comfortability of being uncomfortable. So just go for it, because in the unknown are your gifts. So
And so I think what my mom is saying, in that when you're uncomfortable, any change, when you're crossing the river of change, is going to be uncomfortable. But in order to grow and expand, we have to be okay with being uncomfortable, because that is where the fruit and the juice is. That's where it is. It's the crossing the river of change. And even if you're scared, but your gut is telling you to do it, that little voice that says, you're scared, but you have to do it, because your gut's going, you got to go, you got to do it. And then it's better than you can ever imagine. And that's like in business, right? It's the same thing in business, right? You might have, changes in your organization, or the people in your organization. You might have to let people go. You might have to promote, so there's change in that too.
And so many times we let each other go. I cannot tell you, you go, I'm leaving, that's it, I'm out of here.
You're fired. We don't need each other anymore.
We've crossed the river of change
over and over again.
Oh my God, for sure. Oh my God, for sure.
But
that's
I love what you just said there. We cross the river of change over and over again. And what we're talking about is human dynamics and being self-aware, right? Our emotional intelligence and how we respond and relate to the world around us and to people around us. And what you just said, and I like to sit in that for a minute, it's really, really critical, because in business, we tend to think, okay, I got myself together, of course, right?
So you
And
think.
everyone else needs to line up. Well, I can
Right.
only control and influence. I can only control me. I can
Right.
influence and inspire others. But just because I influence and inspire you today doesn't mean next year the same way that I did it will work for you, right? Because you may be at a different point in time in your life. Can both of you talk about that, especially as it relates to your relationship? Because number one, you're amazing business partners, but you're mother daughter. So that gives another dynamic to the equation.
I think whether you have a mother-daughter relationship and you work with your mother or family, people work with their family. I think what's worked for my mom and I, in my view, is that I'm always willing to look at myself. So that is the biggest thing in any relationship, work, friends, family, your partner, your life partner, your mother, your sister, your brother. Yet, I have found the biggest success is the reason it works is because I'm willing to look at myself. So if there's something wrong in the relationship and I am not happy, then you got to look at why you're not happy. You can't point your finger at the person you're with and say they're the ones doing it to me. Nobody's doing it to you. You're choosing to do it to yourself. So self-reflection, self-awareness,
And projection.
Projection, that's another one, right? So if I'm constantly pointing, three are pointing back at me, obviously there's some projection going on. That's a whole nother conversation. But I think that's the key to the success in the relationship with my mom and in partnership. And again, has the river of change changed over time? Yeah, because she's older, I'm older, right? Different stages, different phases. She's in a different stage than I am. So I have to have more compassion for her where she is today than where she was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. So I think it's communication.
Oh, yeah.
And really being communication and expectations. Where are your expectations with each other?
Yeah,
Because I might have an expectation that she could show up for me in a particular way and she doesn't even know it. So talking about it.
Yeah.
What is your expectation of
so
me in
big.
this relationship, in the partnership of business, whatever else? Yeah.
Totally. No, it is.
I think the two of you come from a unique lens that, and I'm speaking to our global audience. So whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or you're, in the corporate setting, first of all, you said communication, and we all know, okay, well, that's back to basics. But you said being aware and establishing expectations. And often in the workplace, or maybe even in our strategic partnerships, we make a lot of assumptions that people know what we want and what's expected of them. And we, on the other hand, are assuming that people are in agreement with our expectations, but no one's ever said anything, right? And then we get frustrated.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I agree. And it's also, I think, for the both of us, we set a time allotted to sit down and speak about what is working, what isn't working. It's really important to be in alignment with one another and really, I guess, iron it out if there's something that isn't working, to just share it. And it's not a blame. It's not blaming somebody.
Like Chloe right now, barking like she needs attention when I'm sitting here and we're doing an interview and we're talking to you. So you go talk and then I'll be right there.
Now it's my time.
I like what you just said. You said that the two of you. So I guess a strategy is, that there's change. That there's changing expectations, changes in where you may be in your life, maybe changes in priority of your focused areas. But you said that even though these things were happening, you set the time to communicate, to evaluate, and to make sure you're still in alignment. Right. And And let's unpackage that a little bit more, Coach Rochelle, because that's really, really key. And now I'm kind of dialing it back to your small business owners, because on the corporate side, you typically have your team meetings, your, weekly one-on-ones with your team leader. There are these control settings, right? That kind of force you into that. But when you are, a smaller unit, maybe even a one person shop that has these strategic partners, you're not thinking about that, setting that time. So can we talk about that and speak directly to that entrepreneur, small business owner, and how to do that? Right? I can tell you, but then how do I set up and orchestrate this time where it makes sense? And I know that was a really long, protracted question, but are you with me?
Yeah, I think for me and Alicia, and I hope for other people, it's setting a time, number one, that works for both. And you're not in a rush. It's like, do you have this time allotted? And if so, let's set it up. And it's not blaming the other person. It's sitting down with the other person or people and being in integrity. But I think the most important thing, LaWanna, is listening, because the listening is the most important thing when you want to listen to somebody, see where they're at, what challenges do they have. Let's sit down and talk about that. The same thing, if I want to say something, I would like the other person to give me the opportunity to share what I feel. Doesn't make it right or wrong. It's my feelings. And it's the same thing for somebody else. It's a very sacred place that you want people to feel comfortable with. They're not going into the lion's den. They're coming into a very sacred space. And I think a lot of it is with no expectation, like Alisha said, but I think a lot of love. I'm a love person. And I think that that's one of the most important things, is that people know that you have their back.
Yeah. Love wins.
With both of you, do you, because I know you deal with women, also with men, but do you also work in a larger group setting? Like if there was an organization that would want to bring you in to actually do this deep dive training, is that something that the two of you offer as well?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. There's so many people out there. It's the business, but there's more to that.
Yeah. And it's the beliefs too, right? That get in the way of how we feel about ourselves, right? I mean, you could be a business owner and think that everyone's going to do what you say, or what do what I say, right? But you also have different personalities, different beliefs. And, if you're a leader of an organization, you have to always be willing to look at yourself too. Yeah. And so that's where we come in and kind of help support, guide the person that's really leading the group, so to speak, to look and see, why isn't it working with Sally or Jim? What's coming up there? Right. So we go deeper into that. We love that.
Let me give you a little scenario. This is actually something that actually happened. And I just want to get your perspective on, if a member of a leadership team came to you and said, okay, what do I do? So in this scenario, you have a team of young individuals that are going through this 4-year program. Mm-hmm. And so they're recent college graduates, and they go through a training and development, and they get promoted to the next level, until the 4th year. Well, in year 1, everyone's doing great. But year 2, there's a hiccup with one particular person, to the point that the supervisor is frustrated and says, you know what? They're still on the probationary period. Let's just let them go. Let them go. They weren't a good fit. What would you tell them before they made that final decision?
Yeah, you can go first if you want. You're in it.
I'm biting at the bit. I would not let him go. I would first sit down and speak with him and see where he's coming from. What are his discrepancies? How is he feeling? Again, in the listening and asking very powerful questions, but providing a very sacred space. For for them to share how they're really feeling.
Yeah, and I would also say to what my mom is saying, also, give them a timeline. If you have the
Right.
conversation with the person, you get what's going on for them, why are they acting out? Why are they not showing up? Whatever their issue is, right? And then give it a timeline. Look, I'll give you, 90 days and we'll see how you do. And we'll have a conversation the next 30 days. Like set it up clear. Again, clear expectations of what the supervisor is looking for moving forward with this person that they're having a problem with. Because again, this person might be thinking one thing
And the
supervisor is thinking another. How many times in a relationship is one person thinking one thing, right? And the other person's in another planet thinking something else. So again, it really goes back to expectations.
Yep.
What's your expectation of your people?
Right.
Do you have a meeting every month to talk about what's coming up for them? So that way everyone's more in alignment.
Yeah.
That's where alignment, right? That's where alignment gets separated is
Totally.
because the expectation piece is not there.
I like what you said about be willing to ask the powerful questions, because in leadership, and this isn't across the board, to our listening audience, we are here with Coach Rochelle and Coach Alisha, and we're talking about business relationships, the joys and the challenges. And this particular scenario has to deal with a supervisor who just wants to let an employee go. And there's a term, hire slow, fire fast. But if I'm quick to make that decision, right, without digging deep, finding out why. And I love what you use, if you're pointing the finger, like I could say, you're not doing the job, but there's three pointing back at me. Well, why aren't they doing the job? Are they aware of what they're supposed to do?
True.
Correct.
That is true. Very, very
I'm going to give you
true.
another piece of this scenario so you can unpackage it a little bit more.
All right. Give it to us. We like scenarios.
Okay. So with this, I told you there's an issue with performance. It comes to what the truth. There is a problem with performance. However, the difference between this individual and everyone else is he is not in the same, doesn't have the same level of exposure to the training and on the job training opportunities that the others do, simply because of the type of job that they put this person in. So again, they have the same expectations, but I might get exposure to, let's say, conducting presentations or leading team meetings, but this person is in a role that doesn't afford them that opportunity, and they're being told, you're not cutting the mustard.
Well, obviously they're not getting the same opportunity. So the supervisor needs to really look at that and say, wait a minute, if this person's getting this opportunity, the other one isn't, this is maybe why we're not in alignment. Right. So perhaps we need to adjust, do you know what I'm saying, to accommodate the other person. It's only fair if you're, you know what I mean? Is it fair? It's never going to be equal. Obviously, things occur, but I think it's important to give the other person the same opportunity. If he's giving one, he's got to give another. And what's up with that?
Yeah.
Why is that happening? What's that? Yeah. Differentiation between the two of them. Yeah.
And that's actually, that goes into another conversation for another time when we think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, right?
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Boy, is that the truth.
We could do another whole topic on that one. Now that'd take a couple of series.
Yeah, boy, being inclusive. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what,
and I'm sure he feels kind of left out.
Yeah. Slighted.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why he's not performing.
And he doesn't feel good enough.
It brings up his own stuff. And so it's that hierarchy thing, that one up, that he's not really looking at the whole picture. Maybe he's just looking at, what he can do quick to make it work. And so if he sees someone has more potential than the other, let me give them this opportunity. We'll give this one a little bit, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So,
and Coach Rochelle, you just said he may not feel good enough. So we don't have a lot of time left. Let's unpackage that. So doing your thing, right? As an entrepreneur, business owner in the corporate setting, but you don't feel seen and heard, respected. You don't feel good enough, part of the team. However we want to package it,
Sure.
it's feeling less than.
Right.
What would you say to that person now to help them feel a sense of empowerment and just stepping into their inherent and divine greatness?
I think you need to sit down and speak on one-on-one with that person, see where they're coming from, because I think that's very important also. And I'm sure they're coming in with a lot of baggage if they've done no work on themselves, if they really haven't taken the time to look within themselves to see about what they need to do in their growth period in this arena, because it always comes back to us. And so I would just, again, ask real powerful questions with this person, but I would do a one-on-one with him first and just get a sense as to where he's coming from. And I think that's so important because everybody wants to be seen, everybody wants to be heard, and there's something about that he's coming in not feeling worthy because that's showing up in his space.
But I think the main thing too is for
What?
each person has to be conscious of this stuff.
Well, that's
right?
where we come in.
That's where
we
my
come
mom
in.
and I would come into
Yeah.
something like this so that they're aware of where they're coming
Correct.
from within themselves.
Right.
Does this person activate this other person's worth, not worthiness, because he got slighted, he didn't get the same opportunity, so
Right.
that not good enough part pops up, right? So how do you handle that within yourself? Maybe
So you
it's
do
ask for something more.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I know Sally got this, and that's great. How about we talk about
Right.
me moving into that more of that role, or what do I
Giving-
need to do to move into that role? Communication
Yeah,
again.
giving him that opportunity perhaps as well to make him feel that if they see that he has that potential,
Then give it to him,
then God, give it to him.
because then they'll soar, each
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, and I like what you said, as far as the responsibilities both ways, right?
Yeah.
Me in the subordinate role and or the supervisor or team lead or strategic partner, everyone has a responsibility in this relationship and what it is that we are collectively trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
But without communication, it's not going to happen, right? Someone has to be willing to say, let's come to the table.
Yes.
Correct.
Or else the separation and division happens.
Right.
Right.
And it'll happen
And
again.
then the stories, so they create all these stories in their mind of why they did it and the rationalization and justification of why they had to let this person go.
And did they hire him? If that person was the one that hired him, there's something.
I feel like we're like, I feel like we're the investigators.
Yeah. Well, I love this because what you're saying, I mean, this is to the listening audience. I hope you're leaning in on this. I mean, these two are brilliant coaches on relationships and having effective, right, and loving relationships. But the question you asked, as far as reminding us, ask the powerful questions. Did this person hire the challenged individual, right? Or did they inherit the person?
Correct.
Right.
Because that can affect a lot. But if you did hire the person,
Absolutely.
And it does.
then didn't you see the value? I mean, there's a reason you hired them, right?
Right. It's true.
And did they do, like we said from the beginning, did they ask powerful questions to see if this is someone they wanted to hire? Where were they coming from when they
the
hired
person
them?
who hired them.
Like where were they in their minds? What were they looking for? What was their intention?
Right.
Of what they wanted to create in their organization or that person they wanted to hire. Do they have that? Intention's everything too. What we intend to create, we create. So writing out what you intend for the people you hire. Oh, I want a person that shows up. I want a person that's reliable. I want a person that's honest, person that's a good, effective communicator. Sure, they do.
And does that person fit into this role?
Right, into our vision.
Right. Right. So it does come back to the person who hires them as well.
Absolutely. The responsibility piece comes back to the top.
Bingo.
Bungo.
Now, the two of you have used a certain term throughout this interview, and you said the person needs to do the work.
Yes.
That's going to be the last point in this interview. Let's talk about, number one, define that. What does that mean? Because someone looking at this will be like, okay, do the work on what? What work? What am I supposed to do?
Right.
And then how does doing the work help you to become a more expansive being?
I think doing the work means looking at yourself, meaning you're in a job that you're not liking. So ask yourself, why am I not liking this job? What about me is not happy? Right? How can I make myself happier if I stay in this job? And if there's an undelivered communication that I need to deliver to this person that I'm not sharing because I'm scared, that I need to deliver anyway, because the undelivered communication is the worst because you hold it and the person has no clue. So again, it's self-reflection, right? How do I do the work? I look in the mirror and say, you're great the way you are. Maybe it's a positive affirmation to yourself so you can kind of start building yourself up. Maybe it's making a list of the things that you need to look at within yourself, right?
Or you're grateful for.
Or that you're grateful for.
That's a great way.
Just little things to start to chip away at what is inside of you that's not happy. I think it's a powerful question piece, right?
And then what is it that makes you happy? What are the things that make you happy?
And journaling is huge.
Yes.
Doing some journaling your feelings, just really free writing. Today I woke up, I was miserable. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. Or, just letting it out off of your mind onto paper helps clear the space for you to become aware of what you're feeling. The basics. How do I feel? Write it down.
Yeah, I think that's
Journaling's huge.
Yeah, it's so big.
It's
so big
huge.
because you're not holding it in. You're writing it down and you're releasing it.
And you're self-reflecting.
Yeah.
It's self-reflection.
And I think also the thing that just jumps out at me constantly is before I get out of bed, what am I grateful for? Before I go to sleep, what am I grateful for? And we're all made of energy. So that is so powerful. It's like going to sleep with a delicious thing. What am I grateful for today? And looking at those things. And that also builds up your self-esteem as well.
And then also, hiring a coach.
Yeah, totally. You can hire
a coach.
Yeah.
Or gets other support, go and find a community you love, or, start to uncover
go to seminars. Yeah.
Meditation. There's guided meditations and self-reflection. There's so much today that you can do to look at yourself if you choose to. Remember, it's a choice.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes.
And
every choice matters.
Yeah, those two pieces are huge.
Every choice matters.
And notice if you're in a relationship where someone's not willing, then where are you not willing?
Right.
Just saying, everything's a reflection of where you are.
Yep.
Yeah, that's huge. We are out of time. This has been great having you on the show. For our listening audience, I hope you've enjoyed this. I want to make sure that you just lean in and you can find both Coach Rochelle as well as Coach Alisha Schwartz on all things social media. But I'd like the two of you to give just a closing word to our listening audience. And I'm going to take myself down so you can do that.
I think if you really look, you are perfect the way you are. And really owning that you're perfect and you're imperfect. And really, really, really getting that. And you are so loved. I think that's very important as well.
Yeah, I think she said it perfectly. And remember, the world is within.
Mm-hmm.
So taking that self-dive, self-reflection only gives you more of your authentic self. And that helps all relationships.
It sure does.
So thank you.
Thank you so much
for having me.
Thank you. I really appreciate this. And how you close it out. It's interesting because in the workplace and just in business, we don't talk about love. In fact, earlier this year, I had was asked to participate in a collaborative article for from the month of love for February, and it was about how does love impact you in your place of business. And
Mm.
each author had to give examples.
Yeah.
And we think about, oh well, that's airy fairy. Oh, we shouldn't go there. But if we are human beings,
Yep.
having this love walk, right? Because if you're respecting and seeing and hearing others, it's an act of love. It's an act of service. Then why aren't we willing to talk about it?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're making such a good point really quick in that, and I think that's the paradigm shift, is that in the workplace, this can occur and your productivity will skyrocket and your people will want to be there.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, beautifully
true.
said.
Okay, the best way to connect with you all, I want to make sure that I have this right for our audience because I think you've been giving some great information. And as you said, Coach Alisha, juicy fruit. You've been giving us some juicy fruit. So to work with Coach Rochelle and Coach Alisha, contact them at coachrochelle@comcast.net. You can call at 954-464-7017 or email shadowbstr3@yahoo.com.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank
Well,
all
thank
your
you so
Yes.
very much, ladies, for joining us. And stay tuned, folks. We've got more on Business and Financial Raw Talk coming up in a moment. Bye for now. Bye, you too.
Bye.
In the high stakes world of business and sports, time isn't just ticking, it's explosive. Where the elite forge their path, where champions and visionaries aren't just participating, they are leading. Welcome to the R3 system, your exclusive strategy in a world where the only constant is change. Refocus with clarity. Reframe with innovation. Reconnect to lead. R3 isn't just a plan, it's a revolution in strategy. This is the domain of achievers, on the field, in the marketplace, at the forefront of progress. With over 30 years of award-winning expertise in fields from defense, sports, finance, the Bradford Group knows victory. Their winning attitude and team power aren't just concepts. They are your strategic advantage. It is your time to stand out, to lead, to redefine success. Make the decisive move. Contact the Bradford Group and embark on a journey that sets you apart. Don't just meet the future, shape it with the R3 system. Act now, your legacy awaits. Where now I speak to women from around the world in 10 nations, and I talk to them about the empowering effect of the R3 system. This is your internal navigation system, which enables you as you journey through life to constantly assess and readjust yourself as you're going down life's path. See, there are three elements to the R3 system. The first is to refocus. Say it with me, refocus. See, when you're in that dark space where it just seems like it keeps growing darker and darker, even the brightest flashlight cannot even illuminate your way. So the worst thing to do is to be in a situation where you're trying to make a decision and everything is dark. In order to be decisive, in order to have clarity, you have to have a clear line of sight. So that was the first thing that I know I needed to do and that I continue to do every single day. So the system that I'm sharing with you is not a one and done. It's not something that you just pick up in a time of crises. It's something that you apply and you reassess every single day. So it's refocusing. asking myself, am I going in the right direction? Asking myself, can I see clearly the lane that is before me? Being wedded and committed to that why. The second is reframe. Say it with me, reframe. And this piece, ladies, is so critical. See, when you're reframing, you're not pivoting. This isn't about a pivoting discussion. Pivoting means you're changing direction. You're going in a different way. But when I have my clear line of sight and I'm certain of my purpose and the path that I should be on, I want to make sure that I am reframing. And reframing means you are designing your lane. Did you hear me? You are designing your lane. See, we are creative beings. We are empowered with being able to speak things into existence. By being that creative being and creating your own lane, listen to this closely. No one else is in your lane but you. No one else is in your lane but you. Why? Because you designed your lane. You set your course. And by doing so, you're able to stay laser focused. Why? Because you've refocused and you're not allowing yourself to be distracted by things that are happening to your left or to your right, because those distractions will come. But you are running with determination, with commitment in your lane. And I want to sit for a moment in that word commitment, because we hear people say, set your intention, set your intention. Well, I can intend all day long and allow any excuse to cause me to derail myself or sideline myself. But when I'm committed, it means basically by any means necessary, I'm going to find a way to run in my lane with confidence, with certainty, with assurance that as I keep running, I'm getting closer and closer to that desired end state. The third, and this was the most challenging for me, is to reconnect. I refocused, I reframed. Now say it with me, reconnect. Why was reconnecting so difficult for me? Because I had been beaten down by the journey of being hit by wave after wave after wave, that I started to doubt myself. I found myself going from a place of security and confidence to insecurity and doubt. I began to question my gifts and talents, wondering if I was enough, wondering if I was deserving and worthy of being able to step back on the playing field of life. I began to question my own authority and could I stand shoulder to shoulder with other experts like me in my field. I had to get rid of that stinking thinking in my head and to begin to speak empowerment and life to myself. So you want to be able to, in your R3 system, to customize it in such a way that it enables you to stay wedded to your truth. It enables you to refocus, again, daily, refocusing, renewing of your mind, right? It allows you to reframe, being tapped in, tuned in, turned out, as Abraham said, sold out for you. And then it allows you to reconnect, to step boldly back on that playing field, dusting off your shoulders, pulling yourself up by the bootstraps and saying, I'm back, I'm bold, I'm determined, and I will win. If any of this that I've said has resonated with you, I encourage you to partner with me and the team at the Bradford Group. Partner with us as we have a conversation on how you can shape and develop your own customized R3 system. See, I just went through what you should do, but we will work with you and talk to you about how you can do this. If you text R3, the letter R, the number 3, to 888-111, that's R3 to 888-111, you will get your complimentary 30-minute R3 session with me. We will dig a little deep and uncover some things that may be causing roadblocks in one of those 3 areas. And again, how to help you shape and reframe so that you can ensure that you are successful moving forward. Les Brown says we have greatness within us. And I believe not only that each and every one of you have greatness within, but I believe that you can be not only the change you wish to see in the world, but the change the world sees. I believe that when you partner with us, that you can turn your stumbling blocks into stepping stones, that you can find the opportunity in the chaos, that you can rise and create the impact, influence, and income that you need, not just for yourself, but for the next generation. I believe that you can be a legacy building individual. I look forward to connecting with you. You can find me on all things social media by my name, LaWanna Bradford, or Instagram, the LaWanna Bradford. Remember the name LaWanna Bradford. And also remember, in life and business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. Thank you so much for joining us.